Welcome to GoPowerCat.com's Friday walkthrough, sponsored by Riverbank Brewing. Now, let's head into the studio.
Hey everyone, and welcome in here to the Friday walkthrough. I'm Cole Carmody, and with me, as always, former Kansas State defensive back Monty Spiller, and special guest host this week, the man who everybody wants to hear from. For some reason, Monty, they want to hear from you, and former Kansas State offensive lineman Brian Hanley, Big B, friend of the YouTube channel here at Go Power Cat. He's got his own Big 12 Insiders. We are here to talk some Kansas State. This has been something that I've gotten from multiple people. You got to get Monty. You got to get Big B on the same podcast. Well, fellas, we made it. Thanks for joining me. Big B, appreciate you hopping on.
No problem, man. I'm glad to be on here. I love Monty. Known him a long time, man. It's good to be on.
Well, Monty, let's talk about this game against Oklahoma State. That's what we're going to do in the first half. We'll kind of talk about this game. We'll look back at the season. And then in the second half of the show, we'll talk about our expectations moving forward for this team. Let's look at this game against the Cowboys because I think that game exemplified, and I was looking back at our text, Monty, and I texted you, this is the team that Kansas State can be. I still feel like that, Monty. What were your impressions of the game?
No, I'm in agreement with you. I came back looking at the game. I was most impressed with the run game. You know, it's one of those things where we talked about a lot of things that need to improve, a lot of things we want to see consistently. But one thing that has always been inconsistent, even though we lost against BYU a couple of weeks back, our run game was still good, and that run game still continues to look good. Big B probably appreciates this with the O-line. They did a great job of getting every time in the pocket, and also when there was a run game involved, they created lanes, and DJ did the rest. Dylan had opportunities to break big runs. He was like one tackle away from breaking two big runs. But overall, that run game, the O-line, I was more impressed with that than anything else.
Yeah, Big B, he hit the nail on the head. I mean, I was really impressed with the offensive line. I go back and I look at that touchdown run that DJ Giddens had to open the second half. And, guys, that was just a straight-up inside zone play. It cannot get more elementary than that, and Hadley Panzer absolutely pancaked the Mike linebacker, and it got DJ Giddens one-on-one with the safety in space, and it looked like the guy had never played football before, and then he just outrun the secondary. I was really impressed with the offensive line, and, you know, whenever you see big-time runs like that, most of the time it's because the offensive line is opening up massive holes.
Yeah, I mean, look, the offensive line, they physically whipped Oklahoma State. Let's just call it what it is. They beat them up front, and it just doesn't get any better than that. That's what you want to see from your offensive line. That's why you bring those guys in. That's why they practice. And again, the run game, Monty's right. The run game was spectacular, and it's been that way all year long. You know, and it's just something that's going to have to continue. But against Oklahoma State, look, the week before I thought was bad that Utah just lined up with basically a backup quarterback that's not very good. He's not. And they just said, we're going to run it and you can't stop it. Well, Kansas State did it with a much better quarterback, and we're going to run it and you're not going to be able to stop it. It was just absolutely ugly. I loved it.
And credit DJ Giddens, because very hard for a running back who doesn't get 20 touches a game to have kind of the momentum that he had in that game. It felt like every time he touched the ball, he was either breaking off a big run or getting 6 or 7 yards a pop. And you go back and look, I want to say he only had 16 carries in the game. And at one point in the third quarter, guys, he was averaging 16 yards a rush. Averaged and finished it with around 12, but still just an outstanding day by DJ Giddens. But people overlook that. It's hard for running backs to kind of get into a rhythm if they're not the main back. And, you know, on this show, Monty, we've talked about wanting to get Dylan Edwards more involved. But you know what? It's almost like DJ said, don't forget about me, because he had one heck of a game.
No, man, you're right. And it's one of those things where we talked about it before. We love DJ. We love Dylan. And it's funny, I was laughing watching the game, and my youngest son, Ezra, I said, you know what? Oklahoma State got OG. We got DG, and I ain't talking about Dollar General. We got the silent assassin, DJ Giddens, and he was taking people's souls. So I was like, we'll take our guy over your guy any day, and he showed up and showed out. And our defense did a great job of stopping Gordon after the fact. The first couple of series, I was nervous, but we stepped it up, found a way to stop him. I'm not sure if he got hurt or they went to a different scheme or whatever, but DJ showed out, and I was so happy for that kid. He's a great role model for K-State football, and he shows how it's supposed to be done the right way.
Monty, let me step in real quick, Cole, and let me ask you this, Monty. Okay, you play football.
Right.
If a guy is hurt, don't they just come out of the football game and that's it? They don't, okay, I'm hurt. Yeah, I'm going to come out. You're going to use me as a decoy. You'll give me the ball every now and then and all this stuff. If I'm hurt or if Ollie Gordon is just hurt, he would have just come out of the football game. I'm just not buying what everybody's trying to talk about. I don't buy that. I'm thinking, okay, he's hurt. It was just bad game planning, which I don't even know why. But I just don't want to hear the hurt excuse, Monty, or because, like I said, if you're hurt, I get it. Hey, everybody gets hurt. It is what it is. But you come out of the game. You don't get used as a decoy, and then we give it to you every now and then. It's just that just didn't make sense to me. And I've heard it from Oklahoma State fans. I'm like, nah, I'm not buying that he was hurt, man. I don't want to hear that.
I'm with you. And here's the thing about it. If you go back earlier in the game before we ultimately stopped him or he got hurt, you can take it how you want to. But if you look at replays, there were several times where him and the quarterback were bickering back and forth about what should have happened, what didn't happen. His body language wasn't the same from the week before or a couple weeks before when he was having success. When a team shut him down or what team gave him fits, you could see that come out. And I think I coached him, and that's one of the things where our game plan wasn't what they expected, and they didn't have an answer for it. So what do? Oh, he's hurt, or we go to a passing game or figure something else out. Well, yeah, you're right, B. I'm not buying the fact that he's hurt. Maybe he got banged up on a play, but if you're that hurt, you don't come back in the game. You get healthy for the next week. You don't come back in as decoy. It's not worth it, if you ask me.
No. I'm surprised that Ollie Gordon didn't chokeslam his offensive coordinator at halftime. There was a series when it was first down or second down, I want to say, second and maybe medium, second and 6, second and 7, and they ran Alan Bowman. And then it was third down, and they ran Alan Bowman with Ollie Gordon as a lead blocker. I couldn't believe it, guys. And, part of me is sitting up there in the press box going, like, did he check to that or what did he do? I really think it was just the offensive coordinator overthinking. And like Monty, we've talked about this, but it sure seems like whenever offenses go against K-State's defense, they have to try and take every single advantage they can because this defense is such a bend but don't break, has such a bend but don't break mentality. It's like, oh, well, we have numbers if we have our quarterback and we use him as a runner. Even though we have an all-American running back, we're just going to try and run it with our 75-year-old quarterback. Like I didn't understand. I didn't understand that, but credit K-State's defense because if you go and look at another play, right after Avery Johnson threw his interception, it was the third down play. I want to say it was about 3rd and 7. And I actually really like the play design from Oklahoma State. They ran a little halfback out route, and it was up to the receiver to go. Jacob Parrish was guarding him. He pancaked Jacob Parrish. And so at that point, all Ollie Gordon has to do is make Austin Moore miss. And he didn't. And Austin Moore tackled him short of the line to gain, which forced an Oklahoma State field goal. K-State obviously goes down and gets a touchdown, and the rest is history. But like that defense holding them to a field goal in the first half, Monty, to me, that was the game. Yeah.
If you go back early in the game, I'm not sure who it was, but and you speak of it, Ollie Gordon, not taking nothing away from the guy. He's a phenomenal back. He's going to be in the NFL one day. But he ran over one of our D-backs. I can't remember who it was early in the game. And I said to myself, ooh, he made a business decision. He didn't get out the way, but he made the tackle, but it wasn't pretty. But the fact that our guys didn't lay down, Austin Moore came back, the machine came back and made that tackle. I don't think people realize how difficult that is to make a tackle 1-on-1 for the guy that size and that agile in the open field. But we did. And the fact that our guys didn't lay down and we kept bringing it, it made a big – that was a big changing point. And going back a little bit, and Big B will appreciate this, when Avery did throw the interception, shout out to our boy Keith Black. His son Corey was the one that got the interception. Keith and I played, and Big B played together at K-State. Keith was a DB at K-State, but his son Corey went to Okie State. Props to him. But I was upset that we got the pick, but I was like, you know what? Good for Corey and good for Keith. That made me smile a little bit. But the fact that we got the win, I was happy with that. So
yeah. The one thing is, I remember on that long that touchdown run by DJ, Corey was chasing DJ. And I said, I nudged my wife and I said, you remember Keith Black? I go, I love DJ, but if that were Keith Black, his dad out there, he's walking DJ down at the 25.
Yep, Keith with the
I mean, and that's Keith Black was a sprinter, an absolute sprinter. But you know, you talk about that interception for Avery, Monty. What I liked about it was he threw it, and it was a bad interception. Let's not kid ourselves. But the week before, they had no answer for adversity. They literally laid down. And this week, they answered adversity, and they said, you know what? I don't have to lay down. I don't have to sit here and just continuously get punched. I said that the other day, Cole, when we were talking on I can't remember which podcast it was, but I was just saying, you know, we laid down at BYU and just got beat up and didn't fight back. Well, we fought back, and it helps that we're at home, and I get that. But you know what, Monty? And I know, Cole, both of you can appreciate this. The lessons that you learn, wherever you learn them, if you apply them, that only can help you. And we were able to do that at home. It's good that it happened at home. And now they can take that when it happens, because it'll happen again. You know, I mean, it's kind of what I was saying the other day, Cole, is like, it's okay to get punched in the mouth. Other schools give out scholarships. They do. So it's okay to get punched in the mouth. It's not okay to just to lay there and take it. It's not okay not to fight back. And that's the problem.
And guys, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like this to me felt like a program win. Yeah. Like it really felt like Chris Kleiman and Joe Kleinerman. This was a win because those guys have been there, done that before, going up against, I think, an Oklahoma State team who they may look not very good, but that Oklahoma State team's going to win some football games this year. Like there's no question in my mind that team's going to win 7 or 8 games, maybe not, if not more. And so this was a culture win because they rallied the troops. And you guys know, after you get your teeth kicked in, to come back to work the next day and come back to work the next week, it's not easy. Now, did being at home help? Absolutely. But it is not easy to get up off the mat after a week, which frankly, nobody saw coming. And a good team coming into your place, it could have been very easy for this team to lay down. But I just credit the coaches, man, and the leadership on that team. That's another thing people don't talk enough about is the leadership on that team for just not letting that happen. And Monty, I mean, I look at the defense because the defense was really, to me, the unit that led the team to victory here because there was never a comfortable possession for Oklahoma State.
No, I agree. And even when we were down for a little bit, and the defense, and you know, the coaches challenged those guys last week after going to BYU and basically getting embarrassed. I know they challenged them, and I know some guys inside the program, and enough enough to see, okay, our guys are going to respond. And even in warm-ups, we felt prepared. You felt like the kids were confident. And then as the game was going, we were making plays. We weren't hesitant. We were communicating. We weren't making errors on the back end. And guys were going and competing and high pointing the ball. When Parrish made the interception, that was great coverage. A lot of guys would have got PI. A lot of guys would have panicked. He went and found the ball. He was in great man coverage, turning around, and that was a game changer as well. But as a whole, our defense has so much quality depth. And when they're playing on the same accord, when one guy goes out, another guy comes in. Honestly, there was a couple of guys in the defense secondary. I had to go to the media guy and be like, who is this cat? Because I hadn't seen him all year. But he was out there playing and making plays. And I was like, okay, I see you. I see you. And you got the normal names, but there were guys you don't recognize. You know, Fabris, Jack, Coach Fabris' son, Jack, he's all over the place. He's on special teams. He's a nickel guy. He's a linebacker. He's making plays, and he's in there with the one. So you got quality depth across the board, and guys are not afraid to make a play, and guys who want to make a play. And that secondary is playing well, but those linebackers and those DNs, they are solidifying that defense. And if we stay healthy, man, and stay consistent, it could be a good season.
What did you see from Jacob on that play? Because I'm curious your perspective as a D-back. I know you kind of touched on it, but your man coverage one-on-one, that is a 50-50 ball. I mean, you mentioned we see PI all the time, but to me, Chris Kleiman said it was the best interception he's ever seen. I don't know if I'll go that far, but people don't realize how hard of a play that was.
No, man, from the line of scrimmage, he took the correct angle to cut the receiver off. He was in phase with them probably 80% of the time, step for step. He had a decision to make. Do I play his hands or do I turn and play the ball? Because he was in phase and it was in the corner of the end zone, he made the right choice to turn and play the ball because even if he didn't get the ball, he knew it would be called out of bounds. So that's not really a risk. But the fact that he was like, you know what, I'm going to turn to the ball. I'm going to be aggressive, and I'm going to get the ball. And that's what he did. A lot of guys would play their hands and be okay with another down. Jacob was in perfect position, and he took that risk, and he was aggressive, and there was a reward because of it. But that guy, that was a great play on a fade route. I was so happy to see him make that play, and it was a game changer.
No doubt. Fellas, good stuff in the first half. That was Kansas State and Oklahoma State. Normally, we would look ahead to next week. But if we looked ahead to next week, we'd be talking about practice, and nobody wants to talk about practice. So we're going to look at the bigger picture when we come back right here on the Friday Walkthrough.
It's time to take a break. It's time to take a break for our sponsors. We'll be back with more from GoPowerCat.com.
Nestled in the heart of beautiful and historic Council Grove, Kansas, Riverbank Brewing is the perfect place to stop before or after the game. Riverbank Brewing, located in downtown Council Grove.
Now let's head back to the show for more K-State sports coverage from GoPowerCat.com.
Welcome back in here to the Friday Walkthrough. Cole Carmody with Monty Spiller, special guest Brian Hanley. Shout out to Riverbank Brewing for sponsoring this episode and every episode of the Friday Walkthrough on the bye week. Make sure you stop in, say hello, grab yourself a nice, cool beverage. It's going to be a little warm this weekend in the Midwest, but that's okay. Kansas State will be enjoying the rest of the college football slate on their couch in the air conditioning because they don't play. But in the future, a week from Saturday, Kansas State heads to Colorado to take on the Buffaloes. And before we talk about that game and kind of preview the beginning of this week, obviously going to be a long week with lots of previews ahead of that game, I want to kind of take a step back and look and assess where K-State is, guys. 4-1 at the bye. And this was kind of something I talked about on the K-State Insiders earlier in the week. K-State's 4-1 at the bye through 5 games. You know, if you would have asked me, would you take K-State being 4-1 almost midway through the season? I probably would have said yes, because that means this team's on pace to win anywhere from, you know, however you want to predict the schedule, anywhere from 9 to 11 games. And I think K-State fans want this team to take the next step. I think all three of us believe that they can take that next step. But how would you guys kind of assess their play? Big B, we'll start with you.
I mean, I'm not disappointed. But the thing that's upsetting to me is the way they lost to BYU. It's not that they lost the game. You know, everybody can lose against a tough opponent on the road. It happens. Like I mentioned before, they give other schools scholarships. They hand them out to people. So, but it's the way that they lost and that they didn't fight back. And I know I've said that over and over again, but it's just the truth. And I'll continue to say it. But on the flip side, again, I've said this over and over again. They learned from what they did, and they learned that you don't have to stay down. You know, a lot of times, I mean, we see a team from up the road there that they've gotten their teeth kicked in, and they continuously just laid down, and they've got talent there. No need to even go into names and talk about it, but we've seen it. We've seen them just continuously get beat up, you know, and the thing about Kansas State is you mentioned culture earlier, Cole. Kansas State has a culture that, yeah, okay, I get it. We lost. It didn't look good, but we're not a culture of just staying down and getting our head beaten in. So I will absolutely take it. I thought we could be undefeated, but, you know, it's a lot of football still left to be played, and I suspect that them just getting this bye week the way that it is, it's weird that there's 2, but it is what it is. It's new college football. But, yeah, this comes at a great time. Great time. Again, it's not guys that, okay, he's got a sprained knee or something like that. You know, those guys are going to get back when they get back. It's, you know what, Monty? Man, my shoulder hurts. My elbow hurts. My wrist hurts. My ankle hurts. But giving me an extra, like, 10 days of just rest, oh, man, this stuff, it starts to feel better now, you know? So that's the thing about this bye week. I'm really happy that it happened when it did.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, B, at 100%. Everything, like, I felt like we could have went undefeated. Yeah, we do have one loss, and I'm like you. I hate the fact that we lost, but it's the kind of the way we lost, you know. But it is what it is. We learn from it. We bounce back. We rebounded. We're now in a great position. And like you said, the bye week comes at a opportunistic time. Here's my thing about it. K-State gonna do what we do. So it's not like we're putting a lot of new wrinkles in our offense. or a lot of the wrinkles in our defense. There will be probably a few adjustments because with every opponent, you do make adjustments. But with us, we're going to do what we do until you stop us. And then when you stop us, we'll make adjustments at that point. But the fact that we can get healthy where we're not going into a Colorado week, first of all, a 9:15 game, our time. I know. Don't get me started. And then in Boulder, you play in Boulder with the altitude, and it's one of those things where it's different. But you look at it as a blessing in disguise because, yeah, we lost that BYU game, but the fact that we have a similar situation going into Colorado, we can kind of prep a little bit better, do things different that we may have done before and didn't work out for us. And our kids kind of understand what they're going into. Now, Colorado will be a good environment, but it won't be BYU. I'm sorry. I'll play to Colorado. It's a fun environment, but it's not BYU. I'm sorry. People can get offended by it, but it's facts. And our kids are going to be hyped up because they know what they're going against. They know Dion. They know Coach Prime. They know Shador. They know Travis Hunter. They know the culture they got there. So our kids are going to be just as hyped up to play as anybody else. But going back to the original question, I think we can win out if we do what we do and stay healthy.
That's always the key, right? Staying healthy. And you brought up Colorado, and both of you guys have seen what Boulder's like. And so, I mean, I've never been there, so I'll just say that you guys have played there and been around it. But every time I watch it on TV, it feels a little bit different with Dion there. I mean, and part of that is because they've won and the fans are starting to kind of come back around. But I don't know if K-State gets up early. It feels like this can be a game where they can completely take the crowd out of it, because the crowd in Boulder is very different than the crowd in Provo. The crowd in Provo, they are staying until the end, no matter what. I'm not sure that's the case in Boulder, guys. I mean, Brian, you, like I said, you've been there. I mean, for those of us who have never been to a game there, kind of describe the atmosphere.
I mean, first of all, the loudest that it gets is when Ralphie runs out.
Yeah.
Ralphie runs out, and the way that they run it, you remember, Monty, the way they run it, when he runs around, the visiting team is standing there to come out on the field, and then Ralphie runs right at you and then runs in that trailer. And I don't know about you, but I saw him, and I'm like, is he going to run into this trailer? Because if not, it's a problem. And the crowd is loud. Don't get me wrong. It's a good crowd. It's just not the same as BYU. BYU are crazy, passionate fans. You know, again, they could be down 28-0 with 30 seconds in the fourth quarter, and the stadium's going to be full of people. I go, that's the difference. But it's a good crowd. But I will say this, guys, is that the game's at night. Colorado is winning. And I said this earlier on the Big 12 Insiders, and I'm going to say it again here today. I know they had that game against USC last year, and they had all the stars and all that. Now that they're back winning, and you guys tell me if you agree, I think this is the biggest game in Dion's coaching career. I think it's a nationally ranked team. They're actually winning. You're starting to see them come around and do the stuff that they thought that they were going to be able to do last year. I think there's going to be a bunch of stars at the football game. It's on national TV, but I did say this as well. You don't think that our guys are ready to play in front of all those people too? You know, you couldn't tell me as a kid, and you know this, Monty. You're telling me Snoop Dogg might be coming to watch me play football, and I don't care if he's on the other side or not. He's there, and I'm going to be out there. I'm not hyped up for that. Of course I am. So Kansas State got to use that to their advantage.
You hit it on the head. I agree 100%. And to add another one, I don't want to get ahead of myself because we still got next week. But you can't tell me our kids are going to want to be like, you know what? We got a good program too. Yeah, I know Coach Prime is y'all coach, but then you got to remember there's a guy named Dylan Edwards that used to play for Colorado, and his teammates going to want to be there for him also. And you know he's going to want to go back to Boulder and show up and show out. And you know Dylan and you know Leon. They're going to be loud, and it's going to be a lot of purple in that stand, and we're going to be well represented, and our guys are going to be ready to roll. And they say purple, get ready to roll. It's going to be like you said, one of the biggest games for Colorado and K-State in a long time. And also the winner of this game put themselves in a position to be very comfortable moving forward for that Big 12 championship. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this is a big game. It's a big game.
I agree with you guys. And you bring up this is Dion's biggest game. I mean, to me, there is absolutely zero pressure on K-State because everybody, all the stars are going to be out. They're all going to see what Travis Hunter, Shadur Sanders, and Coach Prime can do. And lo and behold, here comes this guy with long blonde hair flowing out of the back of his helmet. Oh, we've heard about this kid. Who is he? Guess what? He's playing with confidence, and he's ready to lead this team to a lot of victories down the stretch. And I look at the schedule for K-State, guys, and I think that their toughest game, I mean, on paper, obviously the Colorado game is going to be tough. And I think the closer it gets, the more I'm probably going to be nervous about this game. Usually it's the other way around. Usually the closer the game gets, the more confident I get. I think it's going to be the other way around. But after this game, guys, I just look at the schedule and I'm like, if they can find a way to win this game, then that game at the very end of the season against Iowa State, you start to circle Farmageddon, because K-State is going to be favored in every single game the rest of the season, maybe up until that point against Iowa State. And I don't know how good Iowa State is, but they're winning, so you have to give them credit. Yeah. The schedule is really, really favorable to K-State. And Monty, I look at this team, and you said you think they can win out. I do too, but man, the schedule, it looks more favorable by the week for K-State.
No, you're right. And I don't want, like I said, get ahead of myself. Iowa State does scare me. Think about what they did last year, coming into Manhattan and just, it was embarrassment. But I like the talent we have. I like the resolve our coaches have, and Big B mentioned it. Our culture, man, is just different, and we have a lot of guys that have bought in, a lot of guys that have been around the program long enough to understand, going back even before you and I played Big B, of what it takes to represent K-State, and our guys take that pride, We're not a big NIL school. We do have a lot of guys that are being promoted, and a lot of guys are being honored for their abilities. But guys want to be here, and not because of just the money. They take pride in that purple, and they take pride and say, hey, I'm a K-State Wildcat. And I truly believe those are the guys that's going to get us over the hump. The game against Colorado is going to be a battle, but I think we're going to be more physical on the edges, in the trenches. And I don't think Colorado's D-line, and Big B will appreciate this, I don't think Colorado's D-line is going to get it taken to them like they have before, like our O-line is going to take it to them. And they're athletic. They got Warren Sapp as coach, great, but our boys know how to play ball.
That's the thing. Warren Sapp's not playing.
Exactly.
You're exactly right, Monty. I'm not going to get into the schematics of what K-State might do because I think it's too early to talk about that right now. Right. But there's some things that Kansas State can take advantage of based on what Colorado always does with their defense. They always do it. There's going to be some things that they're going to be able to take advantage of. And I just think we're going to be way too physical. I shouldn't say way too physical. We're just going to be more physical because that's all you have to be. You don't have to be way more physical. You just need to be more physical and win the line of scrimmage. And I think Kansas State will be able to do that.
So before we wrap up the show, guys, I want to give you, we usually do predictions on the show. And since there's no game, we're not going to do a prediction, but I am going to ask you guys for a midseason MVP. It's basically the midseason. We've played 5 games. There's 12 games in the regular season. I'll ask you for a midseason MVP. I'll let you think while I go ahead and give you mine. And I thought long and hard about this because I knew it was something I wanted to bring up. I feel like I should say someone on the defense because of how good the defense has been. But the unit as a defense, I think, is what makes them special. I think DJ Giddens, to me, is the midseason MVP because of how much he affects the game. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He puts up huge numbers. I want to say there's only one game where he hasn't rushed for 100 yards this season. And if you're going to give the MVP to the running back, then you have to give a shout out to the offensive line. And for as much of a struggle as maybe sometimes people wanted to say the offensive line was in the first 2 games of the season, they've turned it on. And so credit to DJ. He's my midseason MVP with the honorable mention to the offensive line. Brian, I'll let you go. Who would you say is your midseason MVP?
I 100% agree. I think it's DJ Giddens. I don't even think it's up for debate, to be honest with you. You mentioned about the defense, and it's kind of collectively, but we've seen the defense have some leaks. Especially in the secondary. But I don't think it. Look, I don't want to put all this pressure on the kid, but I think DJ is probably our best pro prospect that we have on this football team. I've said it over and over again. He is the prototypical NFL running back for exactly what they're looking for. No, does he run a 4.3 40? No, he doesn't. But there's a lot of NFL running backs that start and produce that don't run 4.3 40s out there now. I said, but he's elusive. He's tough. He doesn't go down on initial contact. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I mean, he's big. He's not small. I know we love Deuce Vaughn, but DJ is a lot bigger than him, and that's the difference, man. It's just he is the MVP of the team right now.
Monty, who would say your midseason MVP?
Yeah, I should have went first because you took my answer. Both of you guys took my answer. But no, DJ, hands down. And we've been talking about him since the beginning of the season. But and everything that Brian said about him holds true. If you look at any Sunday game this coming week, you can find a back that looks similar to his build, similar to his abilities. And one thing you forgot to say about him, B, he is dang good in the pass pro. Whenever he's in the backfield, guys are blitzing and he's melting them, and he keeps Avery clean and he gives the quarterback time to get the ball out. So he is a complete back. And one thing I love about him, his demeanor, his character. He's one of those guys. He comes to work, he gets the job done, and he goes and sit back on the bench. And he's one of those guys who any team would love to have him. I don't care who you are. Any team would love to have him, and any quarterback would love to have him in the backfield. So definitely DJ as my midseason MVP.
Well, fellas, I'm officially excited for the Colorado K-State game, but I have to wait 8 days. I don't know if I can do that, guys. I'm going to have it. It's going to be a long week ahead, boys, but appreciate you, Big B, for joining us today. Monty, it's been a pleasure as always. This was a lot of fun. Hope you all enjoyed it. We will be back next week on the Friday walkthrough. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Saturday of college football, wherever you may be. Until then, we will talk to you next time.
Thank you for watching the Friday walkthrough, sponsored by Riverbank Brewing. This has been a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production.